Hello everyone. In this video you are going to learn CSS position property and then CSS sprites. Okay, so let's get started. So what is CSS position property? You can customize the position of the element according to the CSS position property. There are four possible values of that: static, relative, absolute and fixed. So you can look at the images that explains the literal meaning. So you can see the static one, it doesn't matter whatever you have specified in your in the normal flow of the object, like normal flow, that will appear. Okay, so that is static position. And relative positioning is like relative to not, the position doesn't get originated from the top right position from here. It will get originated from the other elements relative to that the element will get positioned. And the absolute positioning is like it will just give respect to the scroll bar. Okay, so it will consider where is this how the scroll bar appears. But the fixed position, it will not respect the scroll bar, it will just move along, it will just get stick to the viewport. Okay, so that is called fixed positioning. And it may not be clear now, so we'll explain it with some examples so that you will get it. So static is the default value, the element will render in normal flow, right? So it doesn't get positioned in any way. So far whatever we have done, that is with the normal positioning. By default it is static positioning. Okay, so it is always positioned according to the normal flow of the element. So let's try it. So there are 5 possible values: static, relative, fixed, absolute and sticky. So let's start from static one. So you can see the position is static, that is by default. Whatever the values of the property that you have applied, that will be taken. Okay, an element with position static is not positioned in any special way. It is always positioned according to the normal flow of the web page. Okay, so that is CSS static position property. And the fixed position is an element with the position fixed is positioned relative to the viewport. Okay, which means it always stays in the same place even whether you scroll the web page. Okay, so it is glued to the viewport and it doesn't give consider the scrolling and all. Okay, so for example, if it is not clear to you, you can see the fixed positioning, right? So the fixed positioning, you can see the red color box is with fixed positioning. Okay, so when you actually hover over this scroll, when you scroll over it, it just changes the position. Okay, so that is called fixed positioning. The fixed positioning, like it is glued to the right corner here. It is glued to the right corner and it doesn't consider the scrolling position. Okay, so if you don't want to consider the scrolling position, then you have to give the position property fixed. And the next property value is called absolute positioning, where it will get glued to the web page, not the viewport. Okay, so it will give respect to scrolling. When you actually apply absolute positioning property, according to the scrolling position, it will get changed. For example, you can look at this here. The yellow color box is absolute positioning. So when you even scroll the bar, when you scroll the page, it just maintains this position. Right, it just maintains, it gives according to the scrolling, it maintains that position. So that is called absolute. So the understanding the difference between fixed and absolute is really important. Okay, so the absolute, when you say the absolute positioning, it is glued to the top right corner, not like a viewport. It is just glued to this particular position in the web page. Okay, so that is called absolute positioning. And the next positioning is called relative. It changes the location of an element according to the other elements. Okay, according to other elements. Maybe let's try it in relative. So you can see according to the normal web flow, whatever the 30 pixels from the container element. So whatever your container, here the container is the whole body. So 30 pixel from the body. If you give the container as other elements, then according to that container, according to that apparent element, the element will get positioned. So that is called relative property. Okay, so absolute we have seen. The sticky is the another property that will change between the relative and fixed. Okay, so let's try it. When you say sticky, when you say this one is sticky, so sticky is kind of interesting property. So it will appear right now like this, but when you actually scroll over it, it will just go, it will not go. So the fixed one, it just went. You can see the fixed one, it just appears, it just got hidden with the scroll bar, right? And this one, it doesn't even react to the scroll bar, and it reacts and it gets up, hidden. But here with the sticky, so with sticky, it will react to scroll bar, but it will not get hidden. Okay, so that is called sticky property. Okay, so based on the positioning, you can just take any property. Okay, next we are going to learn CSS sprites. Okay, CSS sprites. You can look at this image that gets animated. It's an image file that contains multiple small graphics like this. It's a single image that can contain multiple small images that will be helpful to make animations. Okay, so what is the purpose? Why do we need to have this? One thing is for each, as you know that every time you're calling, whether it is HTML file, CSS file or image file, whatever file you're using, whatever file you have in your folder, that many HTTP requests will be sent to the server. Okay, so that makes like loading time, all those things will get affected because of this. But when we have multiple images in a single image, it saves the download time. Okay, so then how are we going to use different images? For example, we are going to make animation like this. Okay, so for each position, for each activity, we are going to change the image to another image. Okay, so like this animation. So you can keep all the images as a single image, as shown in third image, and then you can just manipulate the background property, background position property, and then you can just manipulate the placement of each image according to the activity that you are going to refer. So if that is not clear to you, we can just refer it in W3 School, where you can see instead of using, this has three images. Instead of using three images separately, instead of having three separate HTTP requests, we are going to use single image, so that HTTP request and downloading time is kind of going to be for single image. So with CSS, we can show just the part of the image that we want to display. Okay, so which part we want to display, only that part we are going to display. So you can see here first we want to display the 0, 0. So that is if you look at this, in the 0, 0 position we have this house image, right? So in the 0, 0 position property, background position property, we are just displaying. And then in the second element here, we are displaying the image minus 91 pixel position property, that is here, the next one. Okay, so by specifying the background positioning, this one is getting changed to pick the particular element, particular image in the file. Okay, so if you want to extract this image, then accordingly you have to give some different values so that that particular image will get extracted and will get displayed. Okay, so this will save the download time. Okay, and then also for efficiency, for maintenance, it would be easier. So that is called CSS sprite property. Okay, so we are going to apply all those things that we learned so far, all the positioning, navigation, and the two-column layout, overflow, all those things that we learned in this class, in this chapter. We are going to apply it in our lab practice video. So see you in the lab practice video.